Would you agree with me that
Day 10 of the Lindsay Clancy murder trial in Plymouth Superior Court centered on one witness, Dr. Jennifer Tufts, the psychiatrist who treated Clancy by telehealth from September 2022 right up until the killings. Tufts began testifying Friday for the prosecution. On that day, she told the jury Clancy appeared depressed and flat the day before she killed her children, and that Clancy repeatedly denied having any suicidal or homicidal thoughts in the months leading up to that day. Tufts said she never once saw signs of psychosis during their sessions. Monday, the defense got their turn. A quick reminder before we go further. Clancy has pleaded not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility. She does not dispute that she killed her 3 children. What's being decided is whether she's held criminally responsible for it. I'm not here to guess what happened before a jury does. I'm here to make sure you actually understand what's known so far. Defense attorney Kevin Reddington's cross-examination targeted Tufts' experience and diligence directly. He asked how many other postpartum patients she'd treated before Clancy, whether she'd ever published anything on postpartum mental health, how much contact she'd had with Clancy's family, and how thoroughly she documented and questioned Clancy during their sessions. One detail that came out matters more than it might seem. Tufts received her board certification on September 12, 2022, the very same day Clancy filled out her intake forms, just 3 days before her very first appointment with her. 3 specific gaps also came out under questioning. Tufts never used the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale, a standard screening tool used to evaluate postpartum mood disorders, on Clancy. She didn't know Clancy had called a suicide hotline twice. And she never requested records from Clancy's prior psychiatric hospitalizations, testifying she didn't feel it was necessary because Clancy's own accounts of her treatment felt detailed and accurate. We also learned more about how Tufts actually approached treating Clancy. She testified she recommended natural remedies like fish oil, looked into a separate IV-administered medication used for postpartum issues under hospital supervision, and advised Clancy to discuss that option with providers at Women and Infants Hospital in Rhode Island. The sharpest exchange of the day, Monday, centered on medication. Reddington argued that Tufts increasing Clancy's amitriptyline dosage from 10 milligrams to 20 pushed her toward crisis. On redirect, prosecutor Jennifer Sprague pushed back with a specific detail. The prescription bottle was filled on January 16th with 30 pills, and only 8 were missing by the time of the killings. The implication is that Clancy likely wasn't consistently taking the higher 20 milligram dose at all. When asked directly, Tufts agreed. If Clancy hadn't been taking 20 milligrams, the theory that the dosage increase pushed her over the edge doesn't hold up. Sprague also raised a warning label attached to one of Clancy's other medications, Zoloft. Tufts testified that particular suicide risk warning is intended primarily for adolescent patients, not general adult patients like Clancy. A detail aimed at undercutting the defense's medication danger argument even further. Tufts completed her testimony after this exchange and stepped down from the stand. Immediately after Tufts stepped down, prosecutors called Julie Paul, a psychiatric nurse practitioner who also treated Clancy and was involved in prescribing her medication in the months before the killings. Her testimony was still ongoing when Monday's session ended, so we'll cover what she said once it's complete, likely in our next update, once court resumes. Step back for a second and look at what both sides are actually building. The prosecution isn't trying to prove Clancy wasn't struggling. They've conceded that much. What they're building, piece by piece, is a picture of someone who was depressed and overwhelmed. but who consistently and accurately reported her own state of mind to the people treating her. Someone who understood right from wrong, even while suffering. The defense isn't trying to prove Clancy was lying when she denied those thoughts. They're building the opposite case, that the system meant to catch a crisis like this had real, specific gaps. A psychiatrist newly certified, no standard screening tool used, no outside records pulled, sessions conducted entirely over video calls, never in person. Neither side needs to prove Clancy had a diagnosis. Under the McColl standard, they need to show whether, in the exact moment of the act, she understood right from wrong, or could control her actions. Monday's testimony didn't answer that question directly, but it shaped the record both sides will point back to when their own experts eventually take the stand. We'll keep following this the same way we always do. Carefully, and only with what's actually been proven.